Let's go Dolphins! The heat is rising behind the scenes in Miami, and I've got some critical updates to share with you. We all know the goal is the Super Bowl, and for that to happen, Mike McDaniel needs a championship-caliber roster. But here's the thing, Chris Grier should have been fired a long time ago. He's still here, unfortunately, and that continues to complicate matters in crucial areas. Already, the front office is fumbling with key player situations and failing to lock in the talents we absolutely need to make a deep playoff run. So buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you might leave you shaking your head. Before we dive deeper, make sure to hit that like button, asterisk, but only asterisk if you're a real Miami Dolphins fan. If you've been riding with the aqua and orange for over 20 years, I want to see that pride in the comments. Go Dolphins! My heart bleeds aqua and orange. Let's get straight into the mess that is the Jonnu Smith situation. Last week, Smith skipped mandatory minicamp. That's right, one of our most productive offensive weapons from last season, 88 receptions, 884 yards for touchdowns, is out, and not because he's injured. He's looking for a new deal. Smith signed a 2-year, $8.4 million contract before last season, and based on his production, he clearly outplayed that deal. But the Dolphins? They haven't offered him a new contract. Instead, they're exploring trade options, trying to save face. Head coach Mike McDaniel says they're not trying to move him, but when Smith's agent Drew Rosenhaus calls the situation fluid, that's PR speak for we've got a problem. And let's not ignore the bigger picture. While the team dithers over Smith, they've prioritized defensive tackle Zach Sealer for an extension. From what I'm hearing, Sealer is the top priority, followed by Jonnu Smith, but the urgency to actually do something is missing. Sealer's story is compelling. Picked up off the Ravens practice squad, still living in a trailer after signing his first deal. He's not the kind of player who will hold out, but he does want his fair share, and he deserves it. Grier should have had this handled months ago. Instead, we're staring down the possibility of losing Smith in a contract dispute while hoping to scrape together cap space by potentially trading Jalen Ramsey. That's right, Ramsey could be gone, just to create around $20 million in cap relief. It's a mess, folks. Now let's talk quarterbacks. Zach Wilson, yes, that Zach Wilson is now our backup, and if you're not a little nervous, you haven't been paying attention. Wilson threw 3 picks and nearly 2 more during minicamp, but before you panic, there's context. He's learning a whole new offensive approach, one that's built around speed and timing, not just finding the open man. Wilson himself admitted he's never had coaches demand that he throw on time with anticipation, even before receivers make their breaks. And yes, that leads to practice picks, but it's also the same system that's made Tua Tagovailoa successful. The coaches want Wilson to trust his reads and let the ball fly with conviction. This isn't backyard football, it's precision mechanics. But here's the issue. Wilson's been taught to play it safe his whole career. That habit is hard to break, and while he's working on it, the transition hasn't been smooth. Now, that raises a serious question. What's the backup plan if Tua gets hurt again? Because if Wilson's the only option, and he still can't trust the timing of these routes or the speed of this system, we're in deep trouble. He's saying the right things, but the game is faster now. And this isn't college. We need execution, not excuses. And don't get me started on the lazy takes about spot throwing. If you're still talking about that, you don't understand the offense. This system demands anticipation. If you're waiting until a guy is open, it's already too late. Wilson is learning, but we don't have time to wait on a learning curve if disaster strikes. On the culture side, Alec Ingold and Terrell Dodson offered some eye-opening insight. Ingold admitted there were real chemistry issues last season. Communication was off. Players weren't fully locked in. It showed in how we started the year. But this offseason, according to Ingold, things feel different. There's intensity, accountability, no more waiting around. That shift, he says, starts with McDaniel. But how long does that culture shift last if the front office keeps undermining it with inaction? Dodson backed that up, saying the energy in the building is totally different this year. He described the environment as no nonsense, all business. Defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver has stepped up as a respected voice. Players love him, and you have to wonder, if things go south with McDaniel, is Weaver the next man up? That's something we'll keep watching closely. Meanwhile, Jalen Wright, one of our promising young running backs, is physically transforming before our eyes. He's bulked up, gained 6 pounds of muscle, dropped fat, and he's ready to make a real run at the RB2 job behind Devon Achane. Jeff Wilson Jr., who's currently unsigned, mentored Wright last year. Wright called him an older brother. Now Wilson is gone, and Wright's ready to prove he belongs. That competition in the backfield could be one of the most exciting battles in camp. But again, we're talking about a rookie and a second-year guy. Will the Dolphins trust youth or go after a veteran? That decision could define how our offense shapes up this season. So Dolphins fans, the drama is already heating up, and we haven't even hit training camp. We're seeing contract issues, locker room culture resets, and a backup quarterback who's either going to surprise us or sink us. us. What do you think? Should the Dolphins prioritize locking in Jonnu Smith and Sealer right now? Or is it time to move on and gamble on new blood? Because here's where things get even more tense. Let's not sugarcoat it. Jonnu Smith is one of the few offensive bright spots we had last season. And to even entertain the idea of trading him, especially when there's been zero evidence of a reliable TE replacement stepping up, feels like another classic Grier blunder. Think about it. What kind of message does that send to the locker room? You go out there, you ball out, you become one of the most consistent targets in the passing game, and instead of getting rewarded, you're suddenly on the trade block? That's not how you build trust with your players. That's how you lose them. And while we're talking about trust, let's revisit the Zach Wilson situation, because it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, yes, he's being coached in a way he's never experienced before, and there's a hope that this could finally unlock some of that untapped potential. But on the other hand, it's a huge gamble, because remember, this is a guy who was benched multiple times in New York, struggled with confidence, and has been labeled a bust by more than a few analysts. And now he's being asked to adapt to one of the most timing-intensive, speed-reliant offenses in the entire NFL. The margin for error is slim. If he doesn't get it together fast, and if Tua goes down even briefly, the whole season could unravel. Let's be real. We've seen what happens when you don't have a competent backup QB. We lived it, so it's not enough to hope Wilson figures it out. We need results. We need assurances. And we need Chris Grier, yes, him again, to stop sitting on his hands and start making proactive moves. This isn't the time to wait and see. It's time to act. And the locker room knows it too. Alec Ingold's comments about last season's chemistry struggles weren't just casual observations. That was a clear signal. He talked about guys not being as locked in, about needing to learn from the past. And you know what that means? The issues weren't just on the field. There was something off internally. That kind of dysfunction doesn't just disappear. It has to be fixed intentionally, with leadership, discipline, and consistent messaging. That's what McDaniel's trying to do, but again, it only works if the front office supports him with the right personnel decisions. Terrell Dodson nailed it when he said, everyone around you is depending on you to make plays. That urgency is real. It's palpable, but it won't mean much if the roster isn't fortified correctly. That's why these contract decisions are so critical. Zach Sealer? That extension needs to be done already. He's the anchor of the defensive line. He's earned that respect, and locking him in would send a strong message to the rest of the locker room. Same with Jonnu. You can't preach culture and commitment while letting your top contributors twist in the wind. And let's circle back to Jalen Ramsey. Trading him might free up cap space, yes, but at what cost? Ramsey is a veteran presence, a game changer when healthy, and a vocal leader in a secondary that needs guidance. If the Dolphins move him just to scrape together the money to fix other mistakes, that's a sign that Grier is once again playing catch-up instead of leading with vision. Ramsey should be part of the solution, not a financial sacrifice. If Grier had managed this cap situation better, we wouldn't even be talking about this. The Dolphins are at a crossroads. The talent is there. The locker room is motivated. The coaching staff, from what we're hearing, has laid down a no-nonsense foundation. But will the front office step up and do what needs to be done to support that? Because if they don't, we're looking at another season of almost instead of making the Super Bowl push we all know this team is capable of. This is the time to get aggressive. Extend Sealer. Give Jonnu the deal he deserves. Lock in the guys who've earned their stripes and stop letting business get in the way of football. Because if they drop the ball on these decisions, all the culture talk in the world won't save this team when the real games begin. Now I want to hear from you. Should the Dolphins trade Jalen Ramsey to clear cap space, or should they find another way to lock in Jonnu Smith and Zach Sealer? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell so you never miss a Dolphins update. I've got more heat coming your way. Click the video on your screen now to check out our deep dive into the Dolphins running back competition. Let's keep this conversation rolling. Go Dolphins!